I'm not sure if you'd like an introduction, or Jacob, you wanted to provide an intro or anything? Or? Nope. You're good?
This is my dad.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for all being here. I'm sure you guys are all busy today. But what I'd like to do is first tell you that I'm honored to be here in a room full of brilliant minds. Now, we're going to fast forward to your senior year. It's time to find your dream job. And it may take 2 months, but you'll find it. And you do find that dream job. But 18 months afterwards, you find out that there's some kind of a global economic disaster. Could be world economic crisis, could be world oil prices collapsing, but it happens. And 18 months afterwards, you lose your job, your dream job. What are you going to do? How are you going to find another job to replace that? What if you can't find a job? What if your dream job no longer exists and you're having a hard time even finding work? So, that's what we're going to talk about today. And what I'm going to do is first start with an overview of my journey. We'll then start talking about you. And finally, we'll talk about interacting with other people. So going back to the fall of 1984, that's a long time ago. I graduated the University of Texas with a petroleum engineering degree. And yes, I found my dream job, working for Amoco Production Company. I'd worked for them for over a year and a half, first in summers, and then working as an intern in their cooperative engineering program, where you alternate every other semester with schooling work. So I got my dream job, moved out to the lovely metropolis of Midland, Odessa, Texas. And guess what happened? Oil prices started to slide. They actually started to slide in 1980. You probably won't remember this, but that happened to be the year that the Shah of Iran was ousted. All of a sudden, you have Middle East tension, Middle East calamity. Oil prices started sliding from $50. And 18 months into my job, they hit $9.86 a barrel. That wasn't good for somebody that was a drilling engineer, drilling wells for oil companies. At $9.86 a barrel, they weren't making any money. Very similar to what's going on today. All those horizontal wells that were drilled, their break even is $65 a barrel. We're not even above 30 right now. So just like me, the cycle happened again, and I and about 1 million other people in the industry lost their job and could not find work. So what did I do? First thing I did, I took my severance package and I went to Europe for 2 months. I got to figure out what I want to do when I grow up, right? Couldn't find a job in the engineering business. So I went over to Europe, got a wide array of art and all kinds of stuff that you guys that are traveling just love to experience. When I came back, okay, now that I'm back in the States, I had heard that a friend of mine worked at a firm called E.F. Hutton, retail stock brokerage firm. And after interviewing with them, I was going to be a financial consultant, otherwise known as a stockbroker. And what I liked about that job is that they provided me training. So for the first 5 months of my career with them, they trained me with my Series 7, Series 63, fully licensed commodities broker, insurance brokerage. But the one thing that I learned the most in that job was banging the telephone. You had to learn how to sell on the telephone because you think about it, you could maybe make 3 or 4 appointments a day if you went out in your car and drove around and banged on doors and met with people. I would hit the phone 60 or 70 times a day and would find prospecting that way was a lot of fun. And we used to make games out of it. I used to call their house at 6 o'clock at night when they're eating dinner and told them what I did and what I'd like to talk to them about, and they hung up on me. And that wasn't very nice, so I called them back. And I said, as we were interrupted, I'm sorry we got disconnected, but as I was saying, and I just kept going, and you learn to develop that chainmail armor so that people can shoot anything at you and you became bulletproof. And you just learn to just be shameless and get after it and build a business. And the only negative was taking that job. I went from making $2,800 a month to $1,350 a month. And once I got my license, I was on 100% commission. So guess what? You eat what you kill. It's a wonderful way to live. Just you learn to live with lots of ramen noodles and things like that in the beginning. But things started to happen about three years in. But I wasn't happy banging the phone every day. There's really 2 different kinds of brokers, stockbrokers. You could either be a money raiser, which is what I did. I was always out there looking for new money, or you could be a money manager. Money managers always lasted the longest. Money raisers, you can get burned out like I was doing. So what I wanted to do was go back to school, get an MBA, and combine the MBA in petroleum engineering, and try and find a job as an investment banker, corporate finance. Boy, that's what everybody wanted to do. And that was where the grass was always greener on the other side. So that's what I did. I got accepted at SMU, and I spent 3 years in their night program every Thursday night and Saturday morning for 3 straight years, and did that. And finally, after participating in their mentoring program, my third mentor happened to be the executive director of Prudential Capital, and he was in charge of their global energy portfolio. So, and I selected him, and after several visits with him, he said, you know what, I'd like you to meet with a friend of mine. And so one of the lessons I learned from that experience was I went over to meet his friend, and I found myself in the middle of a 4-hour interview. And that wasn't what I expected. I just thought I was networking with his friend, and a month later he hired me to work for his investment banking firm. It was a regional boutique, and they focused specifically on oil and gas acquisitions and divestitures, with some corporate finance in there too. And so I did that for the next 6.5 years, but I wasn't satisfied still. And one of the things that you learn, that I'd like you to learn, is that what you really need to focus on as you're going through your career, because now I am 3 jobs in, 3 careers in, right? Went from engineering to financial services to investment banking. I always thought that I was going to retire with my first company that I went to work for. But in a period of 4 years, I had already had 3 jobs and 3 careers. So it's really important for you to think about, okay, if I don't stay with the company that I'm working for, what can I do to better myself, invest in myself, to make myself more marketable, to help you get to your end game, help you get to that dream job, help you get back to what you thought was your dream job. So after I went to work as an investment banker with that boutique firm, did that for 6.5 years, and the partners started to raise money for a private equity fund, and they were going to use that money to co-invest in investment banking projects where companies had come in looking for capital, usually on the debt side, and we'd come in on the equity side. Now, it took me aback a little bit because the partners didn't think highly enough about the people that were below VP. They didn't invite me. They didn't invite the secretaries to co-invest with everybody, even if it was, 0.1%. My perspective was, why isn't everybody aligned in the same direction? So they didn't agree with me, and I decided to use my skills on the telephone and start looking around to see what other opportunities were out there. Got a hold of a headhunter, happened to focus on oil and gas, corporate finance, and he said, I may have something for you. And about 2 months later, he called me back. And it turns out, right about the time this guy was being born, Jacob, I was interviewing for a job with Canada's largest investment bank. And they were looking for somebody that had M&A experience, that knew how to use the telephone, but also wanted to help open up a satellite office for them and co-found their Houston office. So I was all in, not really knowing what I was getting myself into. But it was the big leagues compared to the boutique world. And I got hired after interviewing 7 different times, twice in Dallas, once in Houston. I had to go up to Chicago to meet the President of the U.S. Operations. I had to fly up to Calgary to meet the head of the Calgary office and head of the oil and gas group. And I had to go to Toronto, which is the headquarters for Nesbitt Burns. And lo and behold, they wanted me to interview with the president of the entire firm. Whoa. That was interesting. But I did, and I got the job. And in 1996, we moved from Dallas to Houston, and my life changed a lot. I went from working 10, 12 hours a day to 12 to 18 hours a day. And that's a bit of the problem when you have a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old, because I was never home. My wife would call me and ask, "When are you getting me home for dinner?" It's like, yeah, I know I need to come home. When I might be a little bit late, but I'll be there. So when? Well, I'll be home at 6:30. 6:15 I called. 6:30 is a little bit tight. We have a conference call at 6:30, but I'll make it by 7. 7:15 I called. I think you better eat without me. It is not going to happen, and I'm going to be eating out of the cardboard box tonight. And that's the story of my life for the next 3 years, actually 2, until something really took my journey for a turn. What was that? I was diagnosed with MS. Well, that was the problem. The heat and humidity of Houston, Texas, with this disease, just rocked my world. And so, late in that second year, I landed an opportunity to work for King Ranch, the famous King Ranch in South Texas, and they wanted to sell their oil and gas subsidiary. I mean, this is a big deal for the company and a big deal for me, and I just decided that my health and my family were more important than how much money I had in the bank. And so we picked up and moved from Houston to Denver a year later. But I want to back up a minute because there's a lesson to be learned when it comes time to working with your clients and being responsive to them. Because you have to recognize that they are the most important thing in the world, and you need to provide them the utmost respect and confidence as you're taking care of their transaction. They come first. You're in control. And so you have to do everything you can to do what you can to make things happen. So they ask you to jump, and you always jump higher because you want to excel. You under promise and you over deliver. That's always been my motto. So anyway, I decided to resign from the corporate world of investment banking, killed me to do so, because that was my dream job. But it was killing me. I couldn't keep up with the heat and humidity, the long hours, the stress. And so we moved to Denver, Colorado, to take job number 5, career number 4. Who would have thought? Now, I was going to be in corporate insurance brokerage. What does that have to do with oil and gas? Not a lot. But, once again, they were going to provide me training to get my licenses. And then I was back on that 100% commission bandwagon, so if you don't kill something, you're not going to eat, and your family's not going to eat. It's kind of a brutal way to say something, but that's just the way it is. And a year and a half into that job, I decided that, you know something, I am seeing a economic recession about to happen in the United States, and I was in charge of using insurance products to help facilitate M&A transactions. Using environmental insurance, using reps and warranty insurance. You can also do litigation buyout. So just to give you an example, we had I found an opportunity actually with the man who helped invite me to meet his friend in investment banking. His firm was working on a deal that couldn't close because the owner of the company they were selling, who was senile and very old, he was accused of shoving paper down his secretary's blouse and sexually harassing him, her. And of course, this guy doesn't remember, but she's asserting this claim, which hung up the transaction, and the buyers did not want the liability, but the sellers wanted to sell the stock of the company and not the assets of the company, which has to do a lot with tax basis, and in an asset deal you can write the deal up and you don't have to assume the tax basis in the transaction. In an asset deal you always take on the tax basis starts over. So anyway, we wound up creating a policy through AIG that provided them the comfort they needed to close the deal. And they got the deal done. But like I said, the M&A market was slowing down. I didn't really feel comfortable about being on 100% commission. And so I made a phone call to the local Marsh office. Marsh is the world's largest insurance broker. And what I did was cold called the office manager, got his voicemail, said, "This is David Sloan. You don't know me, but I have a skill set that you would really find useful for your business. Please call me." And the day later, I got a call from his office sales manager, and we had breakfast, and they were looking for somebody with exactly the same skills that I had, and I was hired 2 months later. So now we're on career 4, job 6. So things don't always go the way that you expect them to go, but they do go eventually in a very satisfying direction, and you're always challenging yourself. So, that all being said, there's a lot of lessons that I've learned from those jobs. For example, working in investment banking, networking is critical. Networking is everything. And so how do you network? And one of the things, that's something that we'll talk about in the next segment, which is talking about you. So now you get a little background on me and my journey. Now we're going to talk about you. And when we talk about you, networking is really the first area of importance that I think really is key to you succeeding in life. What is networking? Is it going to a function where there's 300 people and everybody's backslapping each other and passing out business cards, and you find yourself very satisfied because you came away with a stack of business cards? Wow. You may not remember half the people that you met, didn't take any notes on the back of the business cards, but you got a lot of cards. Now, I would go to meetings like that, and I wouldn't bring any business cards. And what I learned was it really helps to focus on meeting people and asking them questions. Like, tell me what you do for a living. What does a corporate banker do? What do you do? You know, tell me about that job. And so the one thing you'll find is that people love talking about themselves. And rather than handing out cards and learning that you've got 50 business cards with you at the end of the day, well, now you've got a mission. You're going to this function for a purpose. You're going there because, yeah, you want to meet people, but you want to learn. You want to learn about other companies and what they're doing. And you're trying to get a feel for who is it in this room that I could best align myself with, develop a relationship with that person, and at the end of the day, transact somehow. And so, if you walk away from a business networking session with one good contact, where at the end of your discussion you say, you know what, I would really like to take you out for coffee one day because I'm fascinated by what you do. What day can we meet for coffee for 15 minutes? I would love to take you out and just get to know you better. And who wouldn't take advantage of that? Even a busy person has 15 minutes to drink a cup of coffee or tea or whatever it might be. So network. networking is very important because it helps you build relationships from that networking. But the real critical factor about networking is to drill down into the organization that you're at. For example, I was very well known in a group called the Association for Corporate Growth. It's a great organization. It's all around the globe, all around the country. Denver happens to now have one of the best ACG offices in the country. And I worked my way up from being the person in charge of new members, which I thought would be a great way to meet new people, to eventually winding up on the board of directors and in charge of creating a scholarship program for MBA students at DU, CU, CU MBA, Executive MBA. There wound up being 5 different scholarships. And the whole point of getting involved with an organization, and I know you've heard this before from the people in the Leeds program, in your Scholars program, they want you to get involved. You may not understand why, but the whole reason is because being a leader is critical for helping you build relationships. That's how you build a relationship. When you raise your hand and say, I'll do it, you can count on me. People know they can. And so you come across as the go-to guy, the go-to girl. And it's all about people having confidence in your confidence and your ability to get things done. So getting involved in these networking organizations is really what you want to do. So networking. Remember that one, because I know you don't have time now, but when you do have time, don't just go there because it's a great way to get free drinks. It's a great way to meet new people, yes, but go there with a mission. And the mission should be, who did I meet today that I'm going to develop a relationship with? That to me is satisfying. The second thing about you that I think is important to learn is what it means to be in control. What it means to be in a situation where the company can count on you because you're in charge of their project. You're in charge of their transaction. They're counting on you. And being in control is a scary thing, but it's also a good thing. When you're in control, you feel like, well, I hate to overuse this, but you ever heard of Masters of the Universe? You kind of feel like that when you're in investment banking, because you do feel like you're making it happen. But with that control comes a lot of people really count on you. And if you don't deliver, you'll lose that control really quickly. The one thing that's really important, I'm sure, as you guys put together lots of presentations in groups right now. There's an expression I like to use: he who controls the document controls the process. So if you're at a group of 5 and somebody else is in control of the document, you don't really know when it's going to get done. You don't really know if it's going to get done and to what standards it's going to get done. But when you're in control of that document, you know when it's going to get done, because another way to put it is, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because they'll always make time. It may take more time than you have in a given day, but being in control of that document and making sure every I is dotted and T is crossed, there's all the commas, there's all the capitalizations, it's perfect to your standards. And that's what's really important as you go through your careers, to make sure that there is a lot of critical mass to what you've created that doesn't necessarily have fluff in it. It's got good stuff. So now that we've spoken a little bit about me and about you, I'd like to talk about interacting with other people. What does that mean? Interacting. Well, all of you are going through interviews looking for internships right now. And the first thing that I would suggest is that interaction, a lot of it's happening with your LinkedIn, with social media, through emails, through text messages. And if I could make a couple of suggestions. First, let's talk about LinkedIn. That's a good one. I always remember when I first got LinkedIn, and it was all about sending out those, you get one contact, and you want to send to everybody that is on his contact list, I'd like you to join my network. And you just send that off, and it wouldn't necessarily be to people that you would know, but you just assume that they would connect with you because you're in LinkedIn and you look interesting to them. But at the end of the day, it's not all about how many people that you've linked in with. I mean, this isn't a competition on who's got the most LinkedIn contacts. What you should think about when you send those LinkedIn responses or asking for them to join your network is, why not send them a message and say, instead of I'd like you to join my group or network, you have a really interesting background looking at your profile, and I would really like to meet with you for 15 minutes and buy you a cup of coffee, because I'd like to learn more about you. So go into these meetings, go into these LinkedIn opportunities with the purpose of trying to do something different than everybody else is doing. go into it thinking that I'm going to find some really interesting people, and I'm going to drill down into how I can make better contacts with better responses, and you're going to be drinking a lot of coffee. So the second thing I'd like to talk about with regard to other people and interacting is that what you need to think about on those text messages, in those emails, every word is critical. Every period needs to be used. I know it's so easy with your friends not to capitalize, not to use commas, not to use periods, not to use exclamation points or question marks. But you know what? Nothing drove me more crazy than to get information from my kids' teachers that had misspelled words time and time again. This does not make sense in the world of spell check. But everything that you send to somebody else, you have to think about what's in there. How many times can I check and recheck just to make sure that its punctuation is correct, that it's grammatically correct, that it makes sense, that, you know, a cover letter that you're using in email format isn't too long. It's no more than 3 paragraphs. No more than 3 sentences per paragraph. Some might only have 2 sentences. But the point is, every word has a meaning. Let me give you an example. This will be hilarious, I hope to you, as it was not to me. I had to give a presentation as an investment banker in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it happened to be the very first opportunity that we had to win a new piece of business for our Houston outpost. It was with a company called Samson Resources, the biblical Samson, S-A-M-S-O-N, just like Samson and Delilah. And in my presentation, we talked about what we were going to do for them, what was so great about our firm, and of course, everybody that is reading the information, they always turn back to that page that has how much you're going to charge me. That's where they always turn to. It's the first thing they look at. So I flew into Tulsa. I was coming from Calgary, so I had just gotten in to Tulsa, and at the front desk of the hotel was waiting for me an overnight package that had copies of the presentation, because we were still young in our office, and so we outsourced all of our printing and reproduction equipment to our Chicago office. And I ripped it open when I got back to my room while I'm eating dinner, and I opened the page, and on the front page of the document, it says Samson Resources, S-A-M-P-S-O-N. That's the problem. How in the world is a company why would they hire me to do business if I can't spell their name correctly? So guess what I did? I called up to Chicago. And after I reamed that guy on the telephone, I basically said, I don't care what you have to do or how late you have to stay up, and if you have to drive the presentation, you are going to get it to me by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning before I give this presentation. He finished it around 2 o'clock in the morning, got it on a plane that arrived at 5:30 a.m., and thank God Samson was spelled the way it should be. We did, in fact, win that job, which happened to be our first transaction that we won. And then we were able, after closing that deal, to hang the infamous pelt on the wall and get bragging rights to our first transaction. Spell it. Very, very important. So think about that when it comes time to your emails, to your text messages, to your cover letters, every document at school, at work, everywhere. That's what really needs to be drilled into the back of your mind. So we've talked about networking, we've talked about relationships, we've talked about spelling, we've talked about being grammatically correct. But at the end of the day, it's all about doing what you want to do. How do I keep control? How do I stay in control? And how do, remember that you're driving the bus. You're in charge of your own careers. From the day you left your house, turned 18 years old, you're legal. Parents aren't responsible for you anymore. You're responsible for yourselves. And while financially they may want and expect to help out, you're in control. You're driving the bus. And so if something doesn't go the way you want it to go, change it. If you don't like the way your career is going, do something about it. Don't bitch about it, right? Because complaining is not going to get you anywhere. People don't want to be around people that complain all the time. So being in control is a very powerful thing, but you have to know how to use it right. And you just have to recognize that you are in control, and these are things that you can use to your advantage. So that's a little bit about interacting with other people. And at the end of the day, in my mind, you all are on a journey. You all are on this road that you really don't know where it's going. It's exciting to me for you because you have no idea 2 years from now what you're going to be doing. You have no idea what city you're going to live in. You may say it's scary, but at the end of the day, I'm excited for you. I think it's a great opportunity to take control and to create your opportunities because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to be there. The last day of school, you get done with all your graduation parties. A week later, phone's not going to start ringing when you wake up in the morning. Who's going to call you? Maybe your friends, but not job opportunities. They're not looking for you. You've got to be looking for them. And how you go about that is by taking control and making yourself in the best light possible. So, be in control, have fun, and then at the end of the day, you know, when the wheels of the bus kind of drift off into the side of the road and you hit that ditch, I like to call that your trough of despair. You're going to sit there and wonder, what am I going to do? How are things going to get better? I'm not sure they can get any worse. Woe is me. But what you need to remember is that you have, just like I do, 2 super weapons. They're the only options on my cafeteria menu. That's hope and attitude. And as long as you have hope, and as long as you have a positive attitude, you will succeed, and most importantly, it'll help you smile. Because I can do it. You can too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I was going to say we have a few minutes if anyone has questions.
No questions? Yes.
How has MS positively affected your life?
Positively?
Yeah.
That's a great question. You know, I think the best thing that's happened to me with MS is it's made me to enjoy the simple things in life and remember that it's not what I can't do anymore. It's what I can do. I can't move my arms and my legs, but I can still think. I can still talk. And my relationships are probably stronger now with people, and I really love to build relationships with people that are much stronger and much more genuine. And so it just really taught me how to be a better person, and that it's not all about me anymore. It's not all about being in control. It's about, in my mind, it's about how can I help other people. That was something I never used to think about. But now, you know, sure, I get a lot of control. I have a caregiver that takes care of me, and he's there to do things that I can't do because I can't take a shower by myself. I can't dress myself. The simple things in life have changed. But more importantly, being able to help other people. Mentor. Mentoring for me has been great therapy because I love being around people like you guys because I love to learn. I love to be around academic environments. I love to be around people like you that are gung-ho and wanting to learn, and you just have everything waiting in front of you. And you don't really know how you're going to get there, but you will. And learning that things aren't always going to turn out the way you want them to. But you know what? If you have a positive attitude, that goes a long way.
So I know you've written a book about your experiences.
Yes.
And I'm just curious what, for all of us, the takeaways from that book. Maybe it's a different message than the talk, or maybe it's a similar message that you've given us. What would be those takeaways that you really important?
You know, that book, and I actually have a few copies here today, it's called One Day at a Time, and it's an inspirational story of fighting MS with open attitude. And it's a journey. And what it has shown me, and what I think it's shown other people, is that even though I have hit new lows time and time again, I've had things taken away from me time and time again. I've had 3 near-death experiences that really were near-death experiences, and here I am smiling. Here I am loving life, even though things have changed from when I was making it happen in the corporate world. That was probably one of the hardest things to give up, but it was one of the easiest things to give up. Working. I so miss the social interaction from working every day. But now, I don't have to get up and go to work. But you know what? I'm up at 7:30 every day, and I'm ready to go. I am a type AAA personality, and my brain just doesn't shut down. So what you just have to do is just use your skill sets and that attitude to benefit other people. And that's what I can do. And I think that's what I've learned the most from having this disease, is it's not about me anymore. It's about you. It's about other people. What can I do? Help you network, help you make new relationships, help you be better at what you're wanting to be. And, you know, I've mentored for more than 10 years now. And I love to mentor people. I love to help them figure out what's going on. I'll never forget, I had a student from DU's MBA program. And we met for the first time as a group, and she asked me, she said, well, because I had asked everybody, what's the purpose for choosing me and why are you here today? And she was just distraught and saying, you know, I really am glad to be here, but I can't go out and find another job for 3 years after I get my MBA, because the company I work for, I've signed an agreement with them where, since they're paying for my program, I can't leave until that 3 years is over. And I said, wait a minute. I think you're not thinking about this correctly, because you're in control. If you're in control, that means that just because you have that agreement doesn't mean that you can't look for another job. It just means that when you find that other job, you have to negotiate with that company that wants to hire you that they're going to need to provide you a signing bonus to cover the cost on an after-tax basis to pay the cost that your old company is going to want reimbursed. And so you just have to turn it from a negative into a positive. And so that's what I've done with life now. You know, starting in '98 when I was first diagnosed, a lot has happened in 17, 18 years. And all of it's good. And so it's a great experience to be out there. Any other questions?
Anyone else? I know some of you probably have a class coming up, so I don't want to hold everyone. But thank you for making the
You're
effort to come
welcome.
up here today.
Oh,
We certainly appreciate it. It was
it's
great to
my
hear your
honor,
stories.
really.
You hit on some excellent points, and I can't tell you guys enough to pay attention to your grammar, your punctuation, all these emails, these correspondence, the LinkedIn connections, because people pay attention to that, and it does make a difference. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right. Please take a road sandwich.
Yeah, you guys have a lot.
But yeah.
Did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Please take more food.
I mean, if you insist. I know, dude.
Hey, appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to see you, man. Oh,
Yeah, of course. Sandwich to go. Sandwich for a friend.
He dropped out before, or you go to the summit. I live in Marshall.
okay. Oh, yeah, there's that. Yeah, well, we're selling our house.
There's a little
Thanks for the food.
Yeah, of course.
What do you do with all this? Do you take it
Well,
home for
I'm sure I
dinner?
can
Or
find some toast out.
Yes.
Okay.
No one can turn down a free
I like
lunch.
that. Close to Red Rock.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
One of the benefits of being disabled, I can get first row.
Is there,
Already.
so kind of, so your dad's coming next week, I think, or,
Yeah, maybe 2 weeks, I don't know.
okay.
It's on my calendar.
All right, so let me know if there's anything. I'll touch base with them at
Yeah.
some point, but let me know if you need anything.
Thank you for setting that up.
Just take a lunch. Right. Take some
One
fruit.
of those teams flying salad over there?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Well, Daryl, I brought you a present.
You did.
I did.
Should be the other way around here.
I have one here.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's $15. But I'll give one to you.
You sure?
Sure, I've got 2 copies, one for each of you.
I really appreciate that. Love to read it.
You're welcome. Where are they?
You did mention you wrote a book.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? You did, that's right.
So here's one for each of you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate that.
Enjoy it.
It was really, really good talking to you.
Yeah, you're
When
welcome.
you finish it, we could add it to the LP.
Yeah. Come back and share it with
Yeah,
everybody.
that'd be great. It's a good read. It's a page turner.
Sounds like it. Sounds like
You
you're really
will,
interesting.
you will get a lot of it. I did. I went to Brazil. That's in there, and I spent 2 weeks with a spiritual healer, and really, it was amazing. That was probably the highlight of my life, and some amazing things happened while I was over there. So I'm not going to give it away. So you have to read it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, finish things up.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate for you being here.
Yeah, have a great day.
You want? I will. You too.